And good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Takedown Troop. This is your weekly TNA wrestling podcast here at the BC Wrestle Pod. My name is Mikey, and I'm going to be rocking it solo this evening to talk about this past episode of TNA, specifically the July 23rd edition of TNA. It's going to be a quick one because we're in the midst of building towards our next pay per view for TNA, which is Lockdown, which is happening at the end of August. We have a couple of news things to report. It's been a hot minute since we've been here. You might be hearing some wind blow through, but that's because I got the fan on because it's 115 degrees out here, y'all, and we ain't trying to sweat to death. So I apologize in advance, but y'all already know the drill. We pretty much go live a good chunk of the week on your favorite streaming platforms. You can check out the YouTube for the edited video, which will be up tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We have social media at BC Wrestle Pod. We have merch, bcwrestlepodshop.forthwell.com. And last, but certainly not least, we have a coffee. It helps us pay for this pay-per-views. It's been helping us pay for all the things summer because your boys don't get paid during the summer, unfortunately, but that is okay. But without further ado, we're just going to get into this. We're going to make this short and sweet because, yeah, it was a pretty self-contained episode. Not too crazy things to talk about. So let's just jump into it, right? Alrighty. So this week for TNA, we kicked off with a tag team match. This is AJ Francis and Frankie Kazarian taking on Moose and Elijah. So this has been interesting because Elijah and AJ Francis have kind of, at least we thought their feud was over at Slammiversary, but it seems that they're still within orbit of each other. And now we're throwing Moose and Frankie Kazarian because Frankie Kazarian ain't got nothing else to do. And Moose is finished with his feud with the system, so this is how we're going to continue for a little bit. I thought this tag team match was fine enough. I don't think it was anything too crazy or to write home about, but it is a match that where all four are pretty decent in the ring. Now, because of everything that has transpired, AJ Francis and Frankie Kazarian would end up winning this match, but Moose and Elijah would get a little bit of a victory, even a small one, because AJ Francis's valet Expressions tries to blindside Moose and Elijah, but gets caught for it. And Elijah and Moose destroy Expressions. So this feud is going to be continuing. I don't know if it's going to continue to be a tag team feud or if it's just going to be a singles between Moose and AJ and then Frankie and Elijah, but who knows. Again, this match was fine. Nothing too crazy, nothing to write home about, but it was a pretty decent match and a decent lead to open up the show. After this match, though, we get into what I call the three-part story here. Mustafa Ali, our current TNA International Champion, with his new Secretary of Affairs, Mila Moore, as well as the rest of Order 4. Mustafa Ali is holding an election where the whole entire TNA locker room will vote for the next person to have a TNA International Championship match against Mustafa Ali. Now, this is the setting bit. Here in this part of the segment, we are told what is happening, and we get the votes that are going to be transpiring throughout the rest of the episode. So we're going to come back to this a little bit later because we really came back to this in like 3 other segments after this. So all you need to know right now is that this sets up the international championship voting, and we would continue the story a little bit later in the show. We come back from backstage and we get into our next match, our second match of the evening. This is continuing the KO Television Championship inaugural champion tournament. And so we have Elena Black taking on NXT's Wendy Chu. Now, if you have forgot the rules of this, each match is 10-minute time limit. And so I was like, okay, we're going to see what happens. Now, this match in itself was really fun. I really like Elena Black, as I have said on previous episodes here of the Takedown Troop. And I really do love Wendy Chu. I think she's been fun to watch over the last couple of years in NXT, and it's really fun to see her here. Now, this match was a lot of brutal back and forth. I thought it was a little bit more hard-hitting than I thought it was going to be, and I was very entertained with this match. However, This match goes to the full 10-minute time limit. So I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what they're going to do here. So our ring announcer tells us that this match has reached the 10-minute time limit, and therefore both Elena Black and Wendy Chu have been eliminated from the tournament, which means that M by Elegance has advanced all the way to the semifinals because these two have been eliminated for reaching the time limit. And I just sat there, I was a little confused. I was like, that kind of is not cool. I thought maybe we get a rematch or maybe like a triple threat or something or sudden death. But the fact that if both competitors reach the 10-minute time limit, they will be eliminated from the whole entire tournament is interesting to say the least. So Elena Black and Wendy Chu are eliminated, but Zaya Brookside, our TNA Knockouts champion, comes out and she attacks Elena and attacks Wendy because, which I don't understand why. And yeah, I'm a little bummed to see Elena and Wendy eliminated from the tournament. I kind of wanted to see Elena go a little bit farther, but I'm not the one that books the show, and that's how the cookie crumbles, as the kids say. But it seems that we might be setting up Elena and Zaya possibly down the line, which I'm not upset about as well. But again, this match was fun. I'm just bummed that both Elena and Wendy are eliminated from the tournament. Now, after this match, okay, let's just rip the band-aid off because we always get a system promo. It's always the same thing. Each member of the system talks. They talk about how they run TNA when clearly they don't, and all that stuff. It is the same paint by numbers promo we get from the system all the time. The only difference is this time is that they are interrupted by Ricky Sosa and Leon Slater because both of them are tired of the system interfering and, being an annoyance to everyone. So essentially, this boils down to the following. The system think they're great. They run TNA when they don't. Interrupted by Ricky Sosa and Leon Slater, who state that they're done and they're tired of their shenanigans. Thus, we're getting a tag team match between the system and Ricky Sosa and Leon Slater next week. So that is all you need to know. Didn't really care for this segment because it's the same thing all the dang time. After this promo, though, we get to part 2 of our international championship voting. So the suit, Daria Ray, is backstage, and she has tallied up all the results, and she announces that the person with the most votes, and thus getting a TNA International Championship match against Mustafa Ali, is Jason Hodge of Order 4. So Tasha Steeles and Jason and John Schuyler are celebrating, but Mustafa Ali does not like this and he thinks this is a joke. So he demands Jason Hodge go to TNA management and tell him that there's been a mistake and that he is not going to take this championship match. And Jason Hodge is like, no, I kind of want it, but he is afraid and been conditioned to listen to Mustafa Ali. So he's going to go do it anyways. This is going to be interesting because when we get to the third part of this whole entire story, we finally might be seeing the slow descent of Order 4 or them breaking up, but we'll see how that all goes down. So we cut back for backstage and we get into the longest match of the evening. This is the cinematic Righteous Deletion match between the Hardys and the Righteous at the Hardy compound. I'm not even going to get into too much detail because y'all need to watch this match for yourself because this match was insane. Y'all already know anytime we get a broken heart, when we get a Hardy compound match as a pre-tape, they're going to give us some shenanigans. We had children beating up wrestlers. We had a bonfire. We had people getting high off plants. We had fireworks. We had the Lake of Reincarnation. We had somebody in a coffin. We had people jumping off of construction equipment. This was insane. This was crazy. This was silly, and I loved it. The Hardys win this match. I'm wondering what is going to happen with the Righteous. I haven't heard that their contracts are up with TNA, so who knows what's going to happen. But this was fun. This was silly. Y'all need to go watch this match for the sheer absurdity that this was. Honestly, In terms of gimmicky stuff, this is my favorite thing on the show, gimmick-wise. My favorite match-wise comes at the main event. But yeah, y'all need to go watch The Righteous Deletion. This match was crazy. I love it when I love it when we get these types of matches because as silly and stupid as they are, I really have a great time with them because wrestling needs to be fun and stupid sometimes. It doesn't need to be overly serious or overly choreographed. It just needs to be fun. And as silly as this was, I had a blast with this. Y'all need to go watch it. After the righteous deletion, we get part 3 of our overarching narrative of the TNA International Championship. Jason Hodge is at TNA management to go say that it was a mistake and he rescinds the offer, but he is stopped by Leon Slater. Leon Slater gives Jason Hodge a pep talk telling him how he voted for him, and a bunch of people in the locker room have voted for him, and they have seen the way that Mustafa Ali has treated him, and that he should take the shot because he deserves it and he has earned it. So when Leon Slater leaves, Jason Hodge is still conflicted, and his wife calls him on the phone and talks to him, and he walks away from the office, and we would get the final part a little bit later. I actually really enjoyed that we took the time to tell a quick narrative with some pre-tapes backstage to get to this point, and we're going to get the final part of this a little bit later in the show. But after this part, we get into our next match, which is our second Knockout Television Championship Tournament match. Jada Stone taking on do you want to know something? Alicia Edwards. It's been a hot minute since we've seen Jada Stone back in TNA. She's been gone for a little bit. I don't know if it's due to injury, due to other stuff, but I'm happy to see Miss Jada Stone back on my screen. Alicia Edwards, she doesn't wrestle all that often, but she's fun because she's a heel. Of course, she has Eddie Edwards out there. This was a really fun match, albeit a little quick. But I still had a good time with this. I think Jada Stone has a bright future here in TNA as a TNA knockout. And she gets the O'Connor role reversal for the win. So Jada Stone will be moving on to the next round of the tournament. And we'll see how that all goes down. But again, this was a short match. This is really quick. I had a good time with this match, and I'm happy to see Jada Stone win this one. Now, it has all led to this in our overarching narrative of this one. Mustafa Ali asked Jason Hodge if he did what he asked. Jason Hodge said no. Mustafa Ali dismisses the rest of Order 4, and these two have a heart-to-heart conversation. Jason Hodge is the man of the people right now because he says, with everything that I've been through, I want to do this for my wife, my child, something that you should relate to, Mustafa. So we're getting this championship match next week, y'all. It's going to be Mustafa Ali versus Jason Hodge for the TNA International Championship. I think Mustafa is going to retain, but I do think it's going to be a great match. And honestly, I think this is where we finally see the beginning of the end for Order 4. And that is going to be it for them. I have a lot of grievances with TNA right now. But the one thing I did appreciate with this whole entire night is that we got these 4 pre-tapes that told the story and set up a match for next week. If TNA can do this more often, I will be more content. I'll still have my critiques and my criticisms, but this is all I want. Just treat it like a regular wrestling program. It doesn't need to be that hard. So again, Mustafa Ali versus Jason Hodge for the title next week. So it should be a good match. Guys, we finally made it to our main event, and this was my favorite match of the entire night. Nick Nemeth, the champion, taking on Casey Navarro. Man, this was a really good match for the sole purposes that Nick Nemeth continues to be an absolute crappy heel, which I love, and being a cocky heel, which is great. But this was a star-making performance for Casey Navarro, in my opinion. Now that Mike Santana is gone, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, we need to start building up some more baby faces. And honestly, Casey Navarro and Leon Slater are like my top 2 people to build up to baby faces to become TNA World Champion at some point. Casey Navarro came out swinging. He was firing on all cylinders this whole entire match. Nick Nemeth got cocky at first, but then took Casey seriously. This was a really great match. Casey Navarro tried to go for a blessing in disguise, but Danger Zone from Nick Nemeth sealed the win for Nick. And your winner and still TNA World Champion, Nick Nemeth. Again, this is my favorite match of the episode. Please, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend you all go out to watch this match. Nick Nemeth continues to be a really great veteran in the ring. This was a really fun star-making performance for Casey, and I'm interested to see where we go next for Nick and to see who he faces next. Well, that's going to be it and for the review portion, but I do have some quick bit of news. So we didn't have an NXT show this past Tuesday. However, I wanted to quickly talk about that Mike Santana is officially done with TNA. He is now in NXT. He made his NXT debut this past Tuesday at the end by coming out after Tony D'Angelo and Naraku's match in a street fight for the NXT Championship. And so Mike Santana is officially in NXT, which means he's officially a WWE superstar. And while I am sad I do not get to see Mike Santana in TNA, I'm really happy and I'm excited to follow Mike Santana's journey in WWE now. And then the only other bit of news that I have is that Alicia Fox, formerly known as Alicia Fox, Victoria Crawford, has been released from TNA. She has been let go from her contract. TNA and her have parted ways. And on top of that, too, so the Sinner and Saint have also been granted their release from TNA. So again, TNA is continuing to cut people, and people are being asked to be released from their contracts and things like that. So I'm very interested to see what the direction for TNA goes as we continue to move on with the very limited roster that we have. But yeah, that's going to be it for me this evening. Again, this is a quick TNA review because it was just me tonight, but also this was a pretty self-contained episode. Ultimately, I gave this show a B. I thought there was some really good action. I really appreciated the storytelling that we got from Jason Hodge and Mustafa Ali. The deletion match was insane and silly, but I loved it. And solid episode. I just need TNA to be like this every week, and we'll be okay. But that's going to be it for me tonight, and actually that's it for BC Wrestle Pod this week. We will be back with another brand spanking new week next week as we got some fun stuff coming up. Tuesday we have our AEW Redemption post show. We're going to review the pay-per-view, which is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about it and everything that went down, so I'm excited for it. We also have our NXT and CMLL post shows as well as our TNA post show, and then next Saturday, August 1st, and next Sunday, August 2nd, we have our 2-night live watch-alongs for WWE SummerSlam, so that's going to be fun. So you're going to see us, some of our podcasting friends, and some other things like that. But that's going to be it for me, from all of us here at BC Wrestle Pod. To you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you next week for a really fun, exciting week. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.